Welcome to First. I'm Mark Eichman, along with Shirley Min and Nichelle Polston. The chicken business in Delaware is big business. A report on what's next for poultry producers in the first state.
Sports injuries mean big business for many hospitals. The Health and Science Desk looks at how a high school football knee injury doesn't always mean the end of a career.
And the connection between the Blue Bus and Matt Haley. It's a way the late Delaware restaurateur's legacy will continue to live on. First, your public media news magazine starts now.
Last month, a World Trade Organization panel ruled that India violated international trade rules by banning imports of poultry from the U.S. That's big news for Delaware, where chickens outnumber people by more than 200 to 1. In this week's First Look, we examine the past and future of the state's growing poultry industry and why there is so much at stake. It's fairly quiet on a summer afternoon here in Farmington, but work is underway to transform these empty fields into a home for more than 1 million chickens. More than 20 chicken houses are planned for this 1 square mile of land in Kent County.
One of those farms will build 12 chicken houses, the other one will be 10. Frankly, I see this as an anomaly, and it does raise concerns.
I don't think we're going to see that too often because that's a very expensive proposition. Each new chicken house constructed and equipped costs about $400,000. And for someone to put up 20 houses, that's an $8 million investment.
Delaware is already home to more than 200 million chickens every year. They make up a major industry that's a big player in Delaware's economy.
Delaware chicken goes around the world. Most of it is produced for domestic consumption to the Northeast, to the Mid-Atlantic states, and about 20% of the product is exported all over the world.
This massive industry in Delaware got started by accident.
We're at the Delaware Agricultural Museum in Dover, and I'm standing in front of Mrs. Cecilia Steele's original chicken house when in 1923 she ordered 50 chicks for her backyard flock, and the hatchery sent 500. And she kept them, she raised them up.
She said, well, I'll try them and grow them and we'll see what happens. She made money. She repeated it the next year intentionally, made money. Her neighbors saw she made money. They started growing chickens. And Ocean View is the start of the commercial chicken industry in the United States.
Since those humble beginnings, the chicken industry is now controlled by a handful of large integrators, as they're called, including Purdue, Tyson, and Mount Ayr.
It started as a small mom-and-pop type business to where we are now, producing more than $3 billion worth of product every year on Delmarva.
We grow for an integrated firm. We're a private family farm. My wife, Mary Lou, and my 2 children and myself, and we do have a part-time hired man that helps us here.
Bill Brown spends his days working as the poultry extension agent for the University of Delaware, in addition to growing some 150,000 birds on his own farm. He's always trying to find new ways and better methods of raising chickens.
We are able, through the adoption of this technology, we're able to better care for animals today, and it allows one operator to take care of large numbers of birds.
Part of that technology is fully automated controls. From lights, fans, temperature, food, and water, it's all run by a central control panel.
If I go down, I can get my water, and I look at that water to determine are the birds eating and drinking right.
These birds eat a balanced ration. It is absolutely formulated. These birds eat better than probably 80 or 90% of the children on the globe.
They're not crowded. They're never crowded. These birds are not really stacked in here. If we're not pushing them around, they're comfortable. They're spread out and comfortable.
With so many birds on the Delmarva Peninsula, a big challenge is dealing with all that chicken waste.
If you're referring to chicken manure as waste, you're referring to it incorrectly, because it is a valuable fertilizer product.
Whatever you call it, finding ways to best use that chicken manure has been a major issue. Much of it gets spread on local farm fields, but over-application caused runoff. That's polluted waterways, including the Chesapeake Bay.
Without a doubt, we did over-apply manure prior to the law.
That law is the 1999 Nutrient Management Law signed by then-Governor Tom Carper.
We are sensitive and understand the need to protect those waters. Every chicken farm has a nutrient management plan that's with our department.
Key says the impact of better nutrient management is still working its way through the soil.
These molecules take a long time to move through the system. I think we're moving in the right direction. I think, over time, 10, 20 years, we'll see the full impact of these practices.
So as more chicken houses go up, what's the future of Delmarva Poultry?
I think it's a good future. I think the industry at all levels is learning how to manage the nutrient issue.
So we're seeing fewer growers, but bird production is pretty much steady. Meat production is going up.
You will see larger operations. I'm not making any apologies for that. It's just the way things are.
Industry experts expect the number of farmers growing chickens to decline as efficiencies in the operations allow each operator to grow more chickens on a single farm. Right now on the Delmarva Peninsula, there's more than 4,600 chicken houses. That translates to more than 560 million chickens, or 3.6 trillion pounds. Those millions of chickens all grown by about 1,500 growers. That is a lot of bird.
A bit of an understatement there. Well, what does last month's ruling from the World Trade Organization mean for Delaware's chickens?
It's basically a moral victory at this point, but it is evidence that foreign countries have been improperly blocking U.S. poultry imports in violation of international trade rules. There's no sign that Delaware poultry will be allowed into those countries, but it's certainly a step in the right direction and something farmers in Delaware and, of course, state leaders hope continues.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark, and we will continue our reporting on the issue at newsworks.org/Delaware.
Wilmington Mayor Dennis Williams is back this week as our first person. Thanks for being here, Mayor. First and foremost, it seems like there's always something new to talk about whenever you're on set. Let's talk about crime. I understand with the newly formed homicide unit, they actually logged their first arrest.
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel good. When we formed the homicide unit, we listened to the people have spoken, and I said that, I am a elected official that listens to the public. We formed a homicide squad with 5 good detectives, 2 ATF agents, and we went out and did our job diligently. And when you work homicide, you don't stop. You continuously work a case until all the leads are gone and exhausted, or till you make an arrest. I think what happened here is our great detective division, along with our patrol and supplemental patrols, went out and worked, and our detective division continuously worked until they got 2 major leads. I can't speak about that at this point because the case is under investigation. Okay. But the 2 major leads broke the case for them and made arrests.
Now, these officers were hired within the department, anywhere in particular?
Well, they're detectives, and we put them in this position because of what their capabilities are, and one of the things we're going to do in the future, we're going to give them some more advanced training, but they also have some advanced people helping them out. And again, when you have a homicide unit never sleeps. That was our motto when I was in homicide. All right. We hunt you down and we get you, and that's what our people did, and I'm proud of them.
Yeah, and speaking of your motto, you always talk about how you walk the streets yourself. Any crime fighting for you lately?
I'm getting a little too old for that, but I do walk the streets. I go in all neighborhoods. Doesn't matter what the conditions are. I want people to understand that I am their mayor, and I'm available to them, as well as opening our building up to them. I want them to understand that I'm not afraid to go anywhere in this city. And I want them to know that I am their mayor. They can touch me. They can talk to me. I don't want to be isolated. I don't want to be in an ivy tower. And I don't want separation where people feel that they can't communicate with me or I'm anything different than them. I'm only a man.
Okay. Well, what about the economy? Are things finally turning around? We have the ice hockey, boxing, Uber. What else?
Well, we have our second round of champs at the Chase. It looks like it's going to be another sellout. It helps us propel our sports. We want to get minor league hockey into the city of Wilmington. The Westin has opened up. It's filling up, but we have different events, and they're getting a lot of people who's coming in. We've had people even make comments and send emails that they were traveling through Wilmington by way of train. They stopped in. They never realized the city was such a great city. They're spending the night here, having dinner here, spending the weekend here. These are the things we want. I ride the train quite a bit when I go to Washington, and I get right on the car that I'm on, and I start shaking everybody's hand and telling them I'm the mayor of Wilmington. Come and have dinner, go to a movie, spend the night. and you can catch the train and continue home. Just call your relatives and say, we're going to stay in Wilmington, Delaware. Okay. So I'm selling our city as I go to and from Washington, D.C. constantly.
So people are coming here. I noticed some construction, the 100 block of 9th Street,
yes,
and some construction at the riverfront, residential.
Yes.
Your goal when you ran was to bring how many people here?
Well, I didn't have a specific number, but now we're shooting for 5,000. But I do know that Wilmington needs more people. You can't continuously draw from a tax base that's the same, because you hurt people. People won't be able to afford it, business or residential. You need new people here. We need more corporations to bring people here. We need more people to live here. If the businesses are not going to expand in the city of Wilmington, I would love to see people come here and live and commute to Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. We had the National Conference of Black Political Scientists. I talked to a young lady who I convinced, she moved here now instead of commuting from New York to D.C. every day. Now she commutes from Wilmington to Washington, and more of that can happen. We have a great team there, but I do believe that we all have to sell the city. When people see trash, they have to call it in. When people see trash in front of their houses, they have to pick it up. When people see bad things that happen, they have to call in and support the police. We're all in this together. It's one great big team. And Wilmington is on a national highway. We have 495, 295. We have a major waterway here, which is a jewel. Most mayors in this country say, Dennis, you got it made, man. You got a waterway and you're on the interstate. And we have to use these things to our availability.
Okay. So is that why you guys recently teamed up with Newcastle County Executive Tom Gordon?
Personal friend of mine. Tommy is a good guy, and he's committed to the city of Wilmington. You know, he's helped us with our fire department. He's helped us tremendously with our economic development, and we put two great heads together, Marcus Henry and Jeff Flynn, and these guys have come up with a great plan. And when you
tell me about that plan, though. You recently outlined the blueprint, but how will it help how will it help Northern Delaware?
Well, we're going to get rid of blight. We're going to hold on to the existing businesses we have to help them expand, small businesses. We're also going to encourage new businesses to come in, and we're also looking at that port deal. If we can get that port deal done with that retainer corp, we can hire hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people at great paying jobs. Now, say for instance we get that port deal done, and we put 500 people to work, making anywhere from $50,000 to $90,000 with overtime. We bring small businesses in. We help the small businesses who are here. With all that disposable income, sky's the limit. When I shoot for minor league hockey and other sports that I don't want to talk about that right now that I'm working on, these folks will come because they know you can fill a stadium up. Look at the Blue Rocks. They've been here for almost 15 years. They filled that stadium up. They've been to several championships. If we keep getting champs at the chase and they keep selling out like this, we work on the National Wrestling Association. We start to bring them here. Don't you think hockey's going to come? Okay.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about education. Are we exploring a Wilmington school district?
I have gone to 4 of the major schools that are outlined to say that they're in trouble. It amazes me anyway that people say schools are in trouble. The Department of Education should have known this quite a while ago. All of a sudden, the schools are in trouble and everybody's blaming the teachers. I don't believe in that philosophy, and this is me, the mayor, speaking.
And I agree. My mother's a teacher. You can't blame.
Can't blame them. They get the kids for 6 hours a day. We have a fundamental problem with people going back home. And this is one of the things that we talked about in our police plan that we're trying to get into. We still do go to people's homes and try to find out what's going on. We're working on a case right now where a kid has been in trouble over and over again. A staff member of mine are going to sit down with his mother and try to find out why this kid keeps getting in trouble. And people say, well, that's not the mayor's job. It is the mayor's job. The mayor should go out and talk to people who are getting in trouble and young kids and try to turn them around. I was a pretty ornery and tough kid coming from a tough area, the city of Wilmington myself. People looked out for me. That's why I'm where I am today. But we need to sit down and be honest with each other and look at all these schools and come up with a viable plan and not point the finger and stop blaming everybody. Okay. That's my position.
All right. Well, I enjoyed picking your brain on set today. Thanks, as always, for being here, of course, Mayor. For those of you at home, you can take a look at this interview by just going online, newsworks.org/Delaware.
Coming up on First, the Blue Bus is one way that Matt Haley will be remembered. Learn the connection in about 8 minutes. And here's another mode of transportation that turns a few heads around Delaware. The artist's name is Dragonfly. Her work is our first experience.
For years, doctors and trainers have been on high alert to spot concussions among young athletes. Well, now there's a new worry. In recent years, reports on ACL injuries have increased among teens. From the WHYY Health Desk, Tanya English is here to talk knee troubles. Hey, Tanya.
Hey, Shirley. So the anterior cruciate ligament is a rubbery cord that stabilizes the knee when you stop, start, or change directions quickly. When Brennan Weber suffered a season-ending ACL tear this year, we joined him for surgery at Nemours Hospital for Children to document the beginning of his journey back to the playing field. It was the Polytech Panthers' very first game of the year. Brennan Weber was stretching and practicing routes with the team when he felt an awful crunch in his knee.
I just knew it wasn't good.
This is Brennan's senior year. He wanted playing time. He wanted game film to show that he can compete at the next level. He was already hurt, he says, but convinced the athletic trainer to put him in the game anyway.
I juke into the inside, the defender's coming right at me. I juke into the inside, and this leg gives out. The same leg that I hurt during warm-ups gives out. I felt that majorly right then, and then I was on my way down, and the defender took his helmet and hit the top of his helmet into my knee.
Brennan has been sidelined ever since. The doctor says he tore his ACL, ripped cartilage in his knee, and bruised the bone.
He said, it doesn't look like you're going to be playing sports anytime soon, and I just lost it right then. That was the first time that I cried about it.
Coach Kevin Smith has several players out with knee trouble.
Alex Winchester, torn MCL, done for the year. There's another one.
Smith says the team's training and preparation are the same as always, and still there have been too many knee injuries.
It's been a tough year. 3 of them are seniors, and they're probably not going to be able to come back and play and finish their senior year. So it's heartbreaking for me as a coach.
To avoid leg instability in the future, lots of student athletes decide to have knee surgery.
I was hoping to play in college, D2 schools, maybe Stevenson, Del State, UD. Yes, I'd have to be healthy.
Alatanda is Brennan's surgeon.
You don't always have to repair it, but in a young, active person who wants to return to athletic participation, it's highly recommended that they have it fixed.
At Nemours, Atanda has built a specialty in sports medicine for kids.
It is a thing. Typically, it was a lot of adult surgeons that were taking care of youngsters with sports injuries.
Now, many of those serious teen athletes get their care at the Children's Hospital.
There's a lot more emphasis on college scholarships and going pro and that sort of thing.
The average surgeon might do 8 reconstructions each year. Dr. Atanda fixes 1 or 2 ACLs every week.
This is the thigh bone, this is the shin bone. As we scroll through, you can also see his kneecap or his patella is there.
The plan is to use small instruments and a tiny camera to look inside Brennan's knee.
The fluid gets pumped into the knee to help blow it up and distend the knee so we can see, but also helps minimize bleeding. Starting. But it's just a small hole, so there's always a little bit of blood in the knee just from his injury.
Once the surgery lights dim, Atanda really begins to work.
It's all monitors. Yeah, it's like playing a video game. It's all about hand-eye coordination.
The surgeons use heat and a pulsating shaver to burn away torn ligament and clean up ragged cartilage.
Jackie, let's have the biter to the right, 45 degrees. So it's like a hangnail, you know. You don't want any hanging pieces or flaps or anything. But he does need this, you know, as a shock absorber for the rest of his life, so you don't want to take out too much of it.
The next step requires more light and a much bigger incision.
The 15 blade, layer by layer. It takes some time. You just take your time and get through.
Atanda saws through bone to harvest a portion of tissue attached to Brennan's kneecap.
So this whole big white thing is his tendon.
Later, a sliver of that tendon is reattached inside the knee, where it becomes Brennan's new ACL. Atanda says surgery is actually the easy part. It's the patient who has the really hard job. Brennan Weber spends a couple days each week at rehab, where he's relearning how to walk. He says even small moves can be difficult.
Get on your crutches, have your brace on, the whole 9 yards.
Physical therapist Chaz Barker says the goal is to push Brennan to recover without pushing him too hard.
We got a good amount of swelling on the knee today. Probably back off slightly today from what we did last time.
After ACL surgery, even the professionals can take a year or more to feel confident again.
Robert Griffin III, or RG3, and how he had his surgeries and then he tried to come back and it didn't kind of work out for him. And then you see somebody like Adrian Peterson, who's just this, phenomenal example of somebody coming back and having a great season.
Barker says every athlete expects to return to sports quickly.
Definitely, that's my goal, just to play next year somewhere, anywhere.
It's not clear whether there are truly more knee injuries in youth sports, but more teens are playing at highly competitive levels. Surgeons say they're fixing more knees, and parents and trainers are looking for ways to prevent those injuries.
Tanya, it's so much work to get these kids back to normal again. Is there a way to prevent these types of injuries from the get-go?
One sports medicine group thinks that if we train young athletes to jump and land in a different way, we might be able to prevent some of these injuries.
Which might be hard in a game context, though, for them to think about landing a certain way.
The idea is to start early, and then it becomes natural in the game.
Okay, what about girls? Is this a concern for them as well?
Actually, it turns out that girls and women are actually more prone to ACL injuries. It's because of kind of the alignment of the anatomy, the hips to the knees.
In Delaware, we're seeing a lot of teen athletes are becoming super specialized. Does that put them at a higher risk for ACL injuries?
Really, experts think that it may. It means they're using the same muscles all year round for season to season to season. Not a lot of time for rest and recovery, and that means they may be more vulnerable to overuse injuries.
So they're playing the same sport all year round, maybe need to diversify it a little bit.
Exactly, cross-training.
Okay, Tanya English, thank you so much. You can catch more of Tanya's work on The Pulse. Check it out Fridays at 9 a.m. and Sunday at 10 a.m. on WHYY-FM 90.9.
This is the week that subscribers get our e-newsletter. It's a great way to find out what's coming up on First. You can also watch us online at WHYY.org/First. This show and all of our past shows are there right now. Check it out.
Delaware restaurateur Matt Haley died in a motorcycle crash in India in August. When friends and family came together a month later to praise his legacy, more stories of his humanitarian efforts came out. One story has to do with helping at-risk youth. A nonprofit organization in Sussex County needed help in getting those kids to various events. That's where Haley stepped in with his blue bus.
One of the things that Matt and I talked about is the fact that there's absolute connectivity between where you live and how you receive education.
That's why it's important to Faye Blake, Director of Pathways to Success, to expose these children to much more than what they see and experience in their very own neighborhoods.
Oftentimes, if where you are is all you see, then you really don't know what's outside and maybe the possibilities for you.
Fortunately, this year, this blue bus has allowed the nonprofit, which helps students like the ones here, with opportunities to do some out-of-state traveling.
The bus benefits the program in so many ways. One of the things that, as a nonprofit, we are faced with is always a budget.
A budget that forced the nonprofit to spend at least $1,000 just to go on a trip, until the late Matt Haley considered the bus a perfect fit after he spotted it just sitting on a property. It belonged to Scott Camera, who worked with Haley to donate the bus.
I feel like building bridges, collaborating, and building community richness is a huge goal of ours, and I feel like as a company it's something we can be proud of.
In September, Blake shared more about Haley's dedication to help with their transportation need.
He also gave us the biodiesel fuel generated by the cooking oil from his enterprises to fuel the big blue bus. You know, Matt, he never ever did anything halfway.
Now Blake hopes the bus can help bring change in the lives of those it serves. According to Blake, 1 in 3 black males are likely to be incarcerated, and so reaching out to the youth is very important to her. In fact, recently, some of the children in the program traveled to the White House. Roughly 60 young men were on board.
We want them to be able to land jobs, go to college, and or the military when they leave high school.
Something that's very possible because of Haley and those he put in Blake's life.
The way we can carry on the legacy for Matt Haley is to ask ourselves, what can we do to give back? You see, Pathways is giving back with that blue bus. We're going to go to the underserved neighborhoods and we're going to make sure people have transportation, and we're going to offer it to other nonprofits that may not have transportation.
Today, Blake believes that this blue bus serves as a reminder of Matt Haley's kindness and as an example of how people should not only give, but love unconditionally.
You'd be surprised how many of the kids who lived in some of our underserved areas have never been to an amusement park. They've never ridden on a roller coaster before. They've never gone to the Smithsonian Institute. They've never, gone to places like that, never seen a play before. So all of these things and all of these experiences are very rich experiences to help them broaden their horizons.
Although Haley intended for the blue bus to run off biodiesel fuel generated by cooking oil from his restaurants, I'm told the fuel system hasn't been converted just yet, but the switch is expected sometime next year.
Artists use different means to express their craft. In Newark, the eclectic artist who runs the Dragonfly Studio not only teaches art, but also proves she gets inspiration from everywhere, even her car. Here's First Experience.
My name's Dragonfly Elithram. I've been an artist forever. I work in a lot of different mediums. The only thing I really don't do right now is clay, and I don't like the way it dries on your hands. It kind of gives me the willies. I've had a lot of art classes. I went to a lot of different colleges and workshop programs. Whatever I'm interested in, I try to find out as much as I can about it. I feel that if the studio's in my house, I can just wake up and get to work. I don't have to, commute anywhere. I can have the dog with me. I can make coffee when I want it. To other people, it might look cluttered, but it's very organized, and it's my happy space. Right now I'm doing a stained glass project for Special Olympics Delaware. They have an award ceremony every fall, and we make, it's called Night of Heroes, and we make the awards for, the winners. And then in the wintertime we also do polar bear plunge. We'll make the awards for the polar bear plunge, and then if someone retires, they get one of my stained glass windows. Oh, the art cars. I just get bored driving. I commute a lot for work. There's about 4 or 5 different colors of cars out there. They're all the same. It's boring. So I wanted to, add a little color to the commute and brighten things up a little bit. And it's just fun. I actually can't see the paint when I'm driving. So sometimes I forget I'm driving in a painted car, and I'm like, why are people staring at me? Why can't I change lanes, But it's fun. It makes the day better. Each medium has its own thing, like when I paint murals, I get to sit out on the street and talk to people. I really like that. Stained glass, the final product with the light coming through, is always amazing, and I really like that. So there's bits and pieces of every medium that I really like. I just hope it's a positive experience, I like to put a little humor in stuff. I like to, I just want people to be happy. I want them to be happy when they look at the work. So it's, I just want to, make their day a little better. That's my main objective, so.
In case you were wondering about the name Dragonfly, she didn't like her given name, so she changed it to Dragonfly. You can get more information about her work, the classes taught there, and other information from her website, dragonflyartstudios.com.
Next week, we're taking a TV holiday. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another edition of First. Delaware News can be found as always on newsworks.org/Delaware and WHYY-FM.
That is First for this week. We thank you for watching. For Tanya English, Shirley Min, and Nichelle Polston, I'm Mark Eichman. Have a great week, and it really seems early to be saying this, but have a great and safe Thanksgiving.